Alex Jones invited on his show some crackpot, anti-progressive filmmaker to talk about his ridiculous propaganda movie. So let's have some fun with these fools.
What do you think, from your expert research, the agenda is in the next 2 years?
We've seen this game plan play out. It's not a new agenda. It's the same old story where a radical leftist Marxist group takes over a legitimate political party like the Democrat Party, tricks the party itself into thinking that they're mainstream. Obama told the country he's going to cut the deficit in half. Obamacare is not a tax. He'll obey the Constitution. It was a mainstream candidate with an agenda that he never intended to implement. That's why in my film, There's No Place Like Utopia, I compare Obama to the Wizard of Oz, because he was a charlatan from the get-go, and his intentions were never good. When Dorothy gets to the Emerald City, the Wizard of Oz sends her to the witch's castle. She's taken prisoner in the dungeon. And that's what's happened in all the progressive cities throughout America that I travel to in the film: Detroit, Chicago, Denver, Newark. People are literally living in these witches' castles, the dungeons of progressivism, where they have 50% unemployment, drug cultures, no fathers, no business. They've brought this devastation upon America through these progressive policies, and they only succeeded because they manipulated and fooled not only their own party, but the American people into supporting them and giving them power. Once they're in power, they use the tools of state, like the IRS, the control of information. Unemployment is only 5%.
Well, that's what I found whenever I've been around socialists and communists at events over the decades. I've been around a lot of them at all sorts of behind-the-scenes Democratic conventions. They're really like criminal bank robber types, like felon types I've been around before, that are really creepy and have bad will towards people. And behind the scenes, they'll go, listen, when we take over, we're going to kill everybody. We want blood. They really are demonic villains. But then in the service, it's like, I'm liberal. Oh. I mean, they are just so sick.
Is that what we sound like? I'm liberal, but I'm out for blood. I'm like a bank robber villain demon. I hate people. That's what it is. Who can listen to this clown and take him seriously? There was literally no substance in what Alex said there. They're criminal bank robber villains and they hate people. And they say, I'm liberal, but I want genocide. How do you even respond to idiots like this? That entire segment was comically stupid. So let's start from the beginning and try to get through as much of this bullshit as we can. He said, in my film, Utopia, whatever the fuck it was called, it's all about how Democrats are evil and terrible and bad and they're trying to kill you. And, Republicans are the savior on the white horse. They're so great. Vote for Republicans. But the Democrats, they're a radical leftist Marxist group. That's what he said. Radical leftist Marxist group that poses as a mainstream party. That's what the Democrats are. Oh, please. The Democrats are radical leftist Marxists. The Democrats are radical leftist Marxists. Name one Marxist policy implemented by the Democrats. I can't hear you. Is that crickets I hear? No, that's just the sound of your wrongness. There's not a single Marxist policy supported by the Democrats. There's not a single radical policy supported by the Democrats. The Democrats are centrist corporatists. They make it seem like the Democrats get in there, all right, 100% tax on the rich people, redistribute all the money to poor black people. I want it done by Tuesday. I don't know what political party you're referring to. You can't give me a single example of the Democrats being radical, the Democrats being Marxist, and then they'll go, Obamacare. Please, Obamacare. Obamacare is a policy proposed by Richard Nixon originally. That's what the individual mandate is. It was proposed by Nixon. It was also proposed later on by Bob Dole. There were policy papers about it by the Heritage Foundation, a right-wing think tank. Congressional Republicans like Newt Gingrich and Chuck Grassley supported it back during the Clinton days. Are you kidding me? A Democratic policy, a Marxist policy. I bet you this idiot doesn't even know what Marxism really is. There's no way he knows what it really is. Democrats are radical. Don't make me laugh. And then he goes, Obama, he's pretended like he was mainstream, like he said he was going to cut the deficit in half. He did, you idiot. He did! Oh, God, they're so stupid. Obama inherited a $1.4 trillion deficit from George W. Bush. $1.4 trillion. Right now, it's $483 billion, or it actually may be even down further to $460 billion. He more than cut it in half. How counterfactual they are is stunning. And then he goes to, I love this argument. When people who make this argument are totally intellectually bankrupt when they go, well, actually, he said, quote, his intentions were never good. Oh, I know. He only became president because he's a Manchurian candidate who wants to bring down America. You nailed it, man. That's exactly why he wanted to become president of the United States. Do you not realize how silly you look to people when you make arguments like that? Does that not occur to you? And this goes for people on the left, too, by the way. When I talk about George W. Bush, I talk about how I totally disagree with him. Many of the things that he did were flat out unconstitutional and counter to what America stands for. And I do bring up the corrupting influence of money in the political system. But of course I believe that when he lays his head down on his pillow at night, he lays it down and he rationalizes everything away and acts like, no, I did the right thing. I think I'm doing the right thing. Because any human being would do that. Even if it's Joseph fucking Stalin, when he went to sleep at night, he's like, no, it's the right thing that I'm doing by killing millions of my people, for sure, sending them to hard labor camps, right on. I'm doing the right thing. They rationalize it. Everybody rationalizes it. But he goes, no, his intentions were never good. He knew it. He knew he was a bad guy. He's evil. He's just evil. That's how he is. Please. And then his examples of why liberalism sucks, laugh along with me. He goes, well, Detroit, look at Detroit. Liberalism killed Detroit. Liberalism killed Detroit. People always make that point, and they think that that's a good point. One word. NAFTA. That's what killed Detroit. You took all of the good middle-class factory jobs that were there, which provided a living for everybody there, and you shipped them overseas because you allowed the business owners, because of corruption, to make more money while they screwed over the American people. That's the problem. The problem is once you pass NAFTA, once you did so-called free trade deals, you outsourced the entire economy of Detroit. It didn't matter if you voted for a Democrat, a Republican, a fascist, a communist, a centrist, whoever. It's irrelevant who you voted for. The economy was in shambles and it's going to remain that way until you have a whole other industry come in and try to reinvigorate it. So comical examples. And then, they always point to Detroit equals liberalism. You want to play that game? Then Mississippi represents conservatism. Mississippi, highest rates of obesity, highest STD rates in the country, the most poverty-stricken state in the country. I guess that just represents all conservatism, all republicanism, right? It is, right? It's all Republican, one of the most conservative states in the Union. Poorest, most obese, most disease. I guess it just represents you, right? I guess you want to defend Mississippi, right? C2 can play this game, you fucking morons. I mean, you want to talk about liberalism? Let's talk about liberalism. Sweden, Norway, Denmark, Iceland. Best middle classes in the world, best healthcare systems in the world, best social safety nets in the world, highest standard of living, people who self-report being the happiest in the world, all in these places, and they're all incredibly liberal. There's your example of liberalism. How you like them apples? How's that taste?